my darlings, I'm Sophie Darling and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Sophie. I have a doctorate in literature, which means I get way too emotionally invested in the stories that I'm watching. So if you're looking for a reactor that likes to talk about symbolism, themes, and character development, then you're definitely in the right place. So why don't you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Today we're reacting to episode 3 of Monster. Last episode was yeah, we lost the 3 individuals that were making Tenma's life a living hell. I think Johan is definitely involved in it somehow, and I think the candy must have been poisoned because it's very coincidental that all 3 of them were eating candy stolen from his bedside and they all conveniently died. So either it's political in that someone's targeting Johan because he may have seen something, so they're trying to assassinate him via the candy because it came from the general public, or Johan has somehow poisoned the candy and sealed the bag back up, and they've eaten the candy and ended up dying in the process. But Tenma's definitely going to be looked at with suspicion because Tenma is the one that was suffering the most under those 2 doctors and the director. They were punishing him for disobeying by operating on Johan instead of the mayor. So if you were going to pick a suspect, quite frankly, you would pick Tenma because Tenma would look like the person that would have the motive to do it. But Tenma didn't do it, especially because on the night that they all died, Tenma was like blackout drunk. And I imagine when he's questioned, he doesn't remember what the fuck he was doing that night because he was hammered. So he's not going to really have a concrete alibi. He was also drinking on his own. So even if he does remember, there's no one there to corroborate his story. But now that the 3 people that were basically standing in the way of him gaining any progress in the hospital from advancing his career are gone, we're probably going to see his luck in life change, and that it's probably going to make him glad that they're dead because he's no longer being penalized anymore. But at the same time, the fact that he's going to be seen as a suspect because he had a motive is going to kind of be the downside of that, especially if he starts gaining from them being gone. They're going to think even more so that's why he did it. He wanted to get ahead. He wanted to boost his career prospects, which wasn't going to happen with the director and those 2 doctors standing in the way of that. So yeah, it's getting really exciting. And then Johan's sister is heavily traumatized. And then when she was introduced to Johan, she panicked and blacked out. So Johan has obviously done something that has traumatized his twin sister because she can't even look at him, she can't even be near him. So that would scream to me that she has seen Johan do something, likely to their parents, that has made her try to block it out to protect her brain because trauma does weird things with the mind. It will block out something painful in order to protect an adolescent brain. But I think we may see the truth come out, but only when she's older. But even then, I think if they can't get her to start making sense, they're probably going to end up putting her in like a mental hospital. So then they're probably not going to take what she says seriously. So the way that I think it's going to go, and this is based off 2 episodes, is that Johan is involved with their parents' death. His sister, who he clearly dotes on because he's reaching out to her, so he's upset that she doesn't feel the same way about him, has seen something, right? But she's so heavily traumatized that it's going to mess with her brain. They're going to say, well, there's nothing that we can do to actually help her because we've tried everything. So the best thing for her is to put her in a mental hospital where she gets round-the-clock care. But because she's in the mental hospital, even if she starts talking about what happened and starts maybe pointing the finger at her brother, no one's going to really take her seriously. They're going to think that she's delusional, that she's insane. So therefore, they're just going to shrug it off. But it could be that she's actually telling the truth. And I think it's going to get to a point where maybe Tenma starts to suspect or knows that it's Johan and is trying to build like a case against him. And has to speak to his twin sister, and he's the only one that's taking her seriously. Like maybe she gives him the breakthrough into knowing for sure that Johan is involved somehow. But I think they're going to have it be this long drawn out slow burn as to the truth behind what happened to their parents. But I think it's Johan. I think he's sus. There's something about him. I'm getting bad vibes, guys. But without further ado, we're going to jump into episode 3.
はい。
朝早くすみません。
Oh,
州警察のものです。
where were you on the night
ドクター
of?
天馬ですね。失礼ですが、今までずっとご自宅に？
Yep.
いや、
Suspect
朝
number
方まで
1.
酒を飲んでて。何
Did you
か
go on your own?
実はアイスラー記念病院のハイネマン院長、オッペンハイム外科部長、そしてドクターボイヤー
Oh, they be dead.
お亡くなりになられました。
Especially after he was wishing for their death. And that was the sus thing. He was saying to Johan, like, it would be better if they were dead. And Johan woke up from that coma, so he likely was already awake. He's internalized it. I think this is Johan's way of showing kindness to Tenma because Tenma saved his life.
件に決まってるだろあ、病院の関係の方ですかこの事件に関して何か情報をお持ちでしょ
Let
うか
him
どうぞ
through!
あちょっと通して
ほら立ち入り禁止だ
Fucking journalist, man.
健三天馬です
ああ、どうぞ。みんな落ち着くんだ。救急の方は大丈夫なのか。
それがこんな時に限って急患が立て続けで今も2件オペ待ちの患者が
わかった。僕も加わろう。先にドクエースで写真を見る。もう一件は
脳卒中で倒れた患者です。ああ、ドクター。
He's stepping
捜査
up.
に協力願えませんか。
今そんな場合じゃ。
So he's going to be the person everyone depends upon now.
院長たちに恨みを持つような人間に心当たりはありません。
Him!
思い描いていた医者への道は閉ざされたと思いたまえ。
But he can't exactly turn around and be like, yeah, I wish they were dead numerous times. I don't think he actually wished they were dead. I think he was just venting their frustrations.
あの双子の兄弟がどこにもいないんです。
Oh! Okay, this is the last thing they need. The kids are gone.
妹のベッドも空なのか。
探しました。でもどこにも。
He's involved in this. He's a little
一体
shifty mastermind,
何が起き
isn't
たん
he?
だ。
お父様。
I wonder if she's gonna have a change in personality.
エヴ
エヴァ辛いだろうが気持ちをしっかり
お父様を返して。お父様。
Is she gonna fall back on Tenma as like a source of comfort?
今まで院長の娘としてぬくぬくと生きてきて、それが突然ただの人になっちまったんだ。ショックも大きいわな。
ドクター天馬ですね。ノルトライン・ベストファーレン州警察のバイスバッハ警部です。
ご苦労様です。
この度はとんだことで。
ドイツ連邦捜査局のルンゲ警部です。天才医師のお噂は伺ってますよ。
そんな。
The fact he's meeting so many policemen? Not good! Foxy, is it like a nervous twitch? What's he doing?
子供たちの行方はまだわからないんですか。
それよりも院長以下3名の死因が判明しましたよ。
Poison!
彼らの
Poison!
体内から硝酸系の毒物が検出されました。
I called it! It was in the candy!
しかしそんなものをどうやって。
Candy.
キャンディーですよ。
Yes!
それぞれの死体のそばに
I've
同じ
watched
キャンディー
far
の
too
包み
much
紙
true
が発見さ
crime.
れ、胃の中からも同じものが検出されました。
I knew it was the candy!
ところで、そのキャンディーを3人がどこで手に入れたのか、お心当たりないですか？事件元をたどると、あの兄弟の両親が射殺された時からつながっている可能性もあります。東ドイツから亡命し、両親を何者かに殺された子供たちを襲撃
He's
した
thinking
病
it's
院の院
political
長が
matter.
殺されたわ
I'm
けですから、
thinking it was
政治
Johan.
的なテロという線も考えられます。あの子たちが大きな鍵を握っているかもし
No,
れ
I
ない。
think he is the
お願い
key.
します。なんとか探し出してください。
事件前、院長からチーフの座を外され、
Oh, he
その
suspects
娘
him
との婚約が
100%.
解消された日本人医師か。
一つよろしいですか。
Is it like a
その手の動きは
thinking
一体
thing?
んああ、キーを叩いているんだよ。
あ
頭の中のディスクに全ての情報を入力している。
Oh, it's like a
情報を
memorization
取り出しの
technique.
キーを押せば、そんなまだまだ若輩者です。
警察か。お前疑われてんじゃないのか？
A
疑われても仕方な
1000%.
いだけのネタが僕にはあるからね。
気にすんなよ。俺もしつこく質問されたんだ。
Yeah, but they keep showing up to talk to Tenma like
なんだか疲れ
randomly.
たな。この事件のほ
Not
とぼりが
good.
冷めたら日本に帰ろうと思うんだ。人の命を救うという医者の本分に立ち返れた気がするし。
おい、寂しいこと言うなよ。
疲れたんだ。なんだかとっても。
Just wants to go home at this point. I don't blame him. I would as well. I'd be like, I'm done.
私がいないと店が潰れちまいますから。
ただし無理はダメです。
Maybe he won't go back
Nice.
though, because
Nice.
maybe he
Nice.
thinks that he can actually
Nice.
make a difference at this
Nice.
hospital.
この病院辞めるって噂。
Yeah, I think he's gonna realize he's needed here.
お願い
He
だ。
can't just
辞めない
run.
でください。あんたみたいないい医者いないよ。辞めるなんて言わないでください。お願いだ。
ドクター天馬、理事長がお呼びです。今、
The
公認人事
chairman.
の理事会が行われているんです。今ま
Oh,
で主要なポストは院長派閥で占められていたから、相当な人事粛清があるみたいなんです。ドクター・エッケナーは、バイエル
he's gonna get a
州の小病院
prominent
に飛ばさ
position,
れる
isn't he?
って言うし理事長に何か言われても頑張ってください。私たち応援してますから。この病院を辞めないでください。
How can you leave when so many people realize you can make a difference?
もう一度言う。私は実力
Are they
本位
gonna make him the director
Dr.
or
Tenma.
something?
君を外科部長に任命する。
Holy shit. Chief of surgery.
なんて人生だ。院長の命令に逆らってチーフの座から外され、エヴァとの婚約も解消になり、ただの医者として出世とは関係ない道を歩いていこうと決めた矢先に、なんて人生だ。
It's only gonna make it look more suspicious to the police. Oh, Tenma. He's just exhausted. He's like, God.
外科部長に任命されたんですってね。本当によかった。健三、お父様のお葬式の時、私を慰めようとしてくれたでしょ。
いや、
Oh, does she want to put their engagement
私たち
back on
いろいろ
now?
あったけど、やり直したいの。
Because she has no one else. Her dad's dead. So she's latching on to him because of his newfound
Kenzo.
position, his prominence.
健三、
Because she wants an easy life.
私が悪かったわ。やり直したいの。
You only want to be with him because you have nobody else. I hope I like her, as in, like, she has a shift in personality, but as of right now, I don't like her.
脊髄腫瘍で入院している患者なんですが、
急激に麻痺が進行してしまったようなんです。
わかりました。私が出頭
Did
しま
they
しょう。
ever find the
お願い
twins?
します。外科部長。
In 9 years?
オペの準備をしてください。
はい。
And he didn't leave. He's still here in this position. So they dropped the case against him.
年前にベルリンの壁が崩壊して世の中変わると思ったんだが、
Hey, I would have been one.
ヨーロッパ統合と言ったってそこら中からろくでもないのが流れ込んでる。
2体ともナイフで首を切り裂かれています。
身元は
シティヒ通りに住むライヒマン夫妻です。殺害現場は夫婦の自宅。何度に隠されていた遺体がこの洪水で流れ出したものと思われます。中年夫婦殺人事件、ドイツ全州にわたり過去2年で4件。
So this is a serial killer
裕
because
福
they're
な中年夫婦ばか
targeting
り狙った物取りで
rich
しょう。
middle-aged
いや
couples.
物取りと判断するには早
There's
す
a
ぎる
pattern.
な。
It's
デ
Johan.
ータからするとなぜか全ての被害者夫婦に子
There's
供がいない。
parental issues.
確かにこの夫婦にも子供はいません。
So they didn't have children. What if their parents weren't actually their parents? What if their parents adopted them or took them in solely to use them as a way to seek asylum? That could explain why perhaps Johan turned against them. because he felt like they were being manipulated and used, and maybe they weren't nice to them. And Johan kind of lashed out because this is screaming someone has like parental issues when it comes to like middle-aged couples, middle-aged rich couples. They're actively targeting them. So it's a serial killer because there's a pattern. There's a recognition that they're all following the same sort of profile. They're middle-aged, they don't have children, they're all affluent and wealthy, and they're putting it down as it being a robbery gone wrong. But maybe the robbery is a way of covering up the actual intent, which is to lash out at people that remind you of your parents.
そしてどの夫婦も特に抵抗した後もなく殺害され、周囲の住民は事件当時物音一つ聞いていない。
Maybe they charmed their way inside.
手際良すぎると思わないか？鍵を開けること。いわゆる錠前屋だ。過去の中年夫婦殺害事件の際、3件の現場近くで目撃されている。
ではこの男が。
That's suspicious.
どうかな。
But it might not be that he's involved. It could be that he's being used as a scapegoat.
まさか食事だけしてはいさよならってわけじゃないだろうな。
それが食事中に急患のコールが鳴って病院に呼び戻されちゃって。
なんだって？お前な、仕事第一主義もいい加減にしろよ。後ですごい上玉逃して後悔することになるぞ。
He's chief of surgery. What do you want him to do? He's got to prioritize the hospital.
カールのかい？
おじいちゃんがくれたんだ。でも全然上がらな
I
いんだ。
feel like everything's going too smoothly for Tenma.
外科部長、
Something's gonna
サポー
throw
ト
a
できるんです
spanner in the
か？
works.
日本で子供の頃よくやったよ。そうそう。さて、うまくいくかな。それ。
It's all seeming too wholesome.
上がった
Woo!
よーし。
やれやれ。俺があの立場にいたら愛人の5人は作ってるだろうよ。
Doesn't want 5 lovers. He just wants to be happy. It's all going too well. It's all going too well.
天馬外科部長自らの出頭だ。
素晴らしいオペだ。脳をほとんどリトラクトしていないとは。
まさに天才脳外科医だ。君たちレジデントも脳を愛護的に扱うこと、これを常に心がけたまえ。
Oh, this is jarring. This is the locksmith. The one that was seen at the 3 crime scenes. Oh, he's terrified. Oh! Oh shit.
大変だ。
救急車だ。救急車呼べ。私じゃない。私は悪くない。
Somebody was chasing him though.
ある事件の重要参考人です。この男の証言次第で連続殺人事件が解決するかもしれません。このまま死なれては困るんです。
Maybe he stumbled on something that he shouldn't have, and that's why he's being chased.
アイスラー記念病院に最高の脳外科医が一人いますが、彼が来てくれるようならもしかして。
脳外科医。
Tenma.
ドクター天馬ですね。
Like, I filed that away somewhere.
9年ぶりですね。院長の葬式以来です。
The paths are colliding again.
ルンゲ警部です。その患者には事件解決のためにどうしても生きていてもらわなくては困るんです。
私は警察のためにオペをするんじゃありません。患者のためにやるんです。
I love that he's making his morals clear. He's like, I'm not doing this for you.
ずいぶん出世なさったようだ。
それが何か。
いえ、その若さで大したものだ。
He's like, I'm still suspicious.
いえ、
I'm still keeping an eye on you.
アイスラー記念病院殺人事件ですが、非常に証拠物件が少なく、捜査は難航を極めています。知的犯罪というのは、被害者と加害者の間に何らか
It
の
was
利
the
害
kid.
関係
It
が
was
あるの
Johan.
です。
何が言いたいんですか？
It was Johan.
失礼。職業柄。
And the fact that he disappeared shortly after.
とにかくご安心
Suspicious.
ください。私の関わった事件で解決しなかったものはないんですよ。
Is
た
that a
だの一
threat?
見だぜ。
That's a threat if I've ever heard one. You're looking at the wrong person, bud. Not him.
アイスラー記念病院殺人事件の後、それによって多くの利益を得た人物はどう考えてもただ一人。ドクター・テンマ、あなただけ
It
なんだ。
was. But it was Johan that made sure it happened. It was Johan's way of showing gratitude to Tenma
わ
for
ざわざ
saving
ご
his
足労い
life,
ただいてありがとうございます。
for risking his career
患者
to
のその後
save
の容体
him.
は。
意識はあるのですが、右瞳孔が開大したままで。
それから警察の人が面会したがるでしょうが、今は断ってください。
しかし、あのルンゲという刑事がしつこくて。
今は患者の回復が第一です。
Why do I feel like this patient might randomly die?
ユンケルスさん、私がわかりますか？この指が見えますか？どうです？答えられますか？はい。何です、ユンケルスさん。来る？何が来るんですか？
モンスターが来る。
Oh, the monster is coming.
モンスター？
Name mentioned! The monster is very evidently the serial killer's moniker, the monster. So he has seen something. Monster, who I think is Johan, the person chasing him, was trying to silence potentially a witness, trying to make sure that he couldn't tell anyone what had happened. But I knew that the candies were poisoned. This has to be Johan because the twins disappeared after the doctors died, which is very suspicious. They've never found where these twins have gone. There's now middle-aged couples with no children being murdered, which is a pattern. And the fact that they're targeting middle-aged couples makes it seem to me like parental issues, that Johan's targeting people that maybe resemble his parents, if they are his parents. And the reason I'm saying if is, why would he want to kill his parents? I'm trying to think of a motive. If he killed his parents, the only reason I can see someone wanting to kill their parents is if they are abusive. So because they're rich, I'm wondering if they just aren't actually his parents. Like they bought kids, like they trafficked these twins, bought them, and forced them to pretend to be their children in order to seek asylum, but they didn't treat them very kindly or very nice, and Johan wanted to get rid of them, wanted to dispatch them because they were abusing him and his sister. I think there has to be a motive, there has to be a reason, because no child is inherently born evil, especially serial killers. It's all nurture, it's not nature. And I firmly believe that. You can argue with me till the cows come home. There is so much research that has been done into it that nurture is the biggest factor in how a child behaves when they grow up, that children are very much a product of their environment. So I am a big true crime buff. I watch a lot of documentaries on serial killers, which is why as soon as I saw the candies, I was like, oh my god, it's the candies. The candies are poisoned. Yeah. I think there is something that we're not being told as of yet, that I think the motive could be that the parents are not actually his parents, that they were potentially abusive, and this was Johan's way of exacting revenge against them to protect him and his sister, that he wanted to make sure that they couldn't harm them any further. I also think that could be the reasoning, even if they are biologically their parents, but it's just this focus on like rich middle-aged couples with no children, which is making me think, well, that kind of fits the criteria for the twins' parents, but what if they weren't actually biologically their children? What if they just bought children, or they adopted children, or they trafficked children as a way to gain a stronger claim for asylum because you're less likely to send people back if they've children. So it could be their way of like staying in West Germany because they're like, you can't send us back, we've got children, we'll all die. Versus just two wealthy, middle aged people with no children, you're more likely to send them back versus two people with children, you know? It's alluding to the potentiality that the twins are not biologically related to the two parents that died that I think Johann had a hand in killing. But where did Johann and his sister go is the question. But it'll be interesting as to whether he'll change it up, whether he'll start altering the patterns. So every serial killer tends to have a pattern of who they target and why. So, example, Ted Bundy used to target women of a certain age with brunette hair to the point that many young women would actually go out and dye their hair blonde in order to prevent them from being targets of Ted Bundy. It's this pattern that allows the police to recognize when a serial killing is actually happening because there's too many similarities. It could be that somebody is killing certain women of a specific ethnicity. It could be that they're targeting men from a certain sexual orientation. It could be that they're targeting older people and that the crime scene looks the same each time, that there's always a robbery, but the robbery doesn't quite line up. So that kind of is one of the key insights as to a pattern is developing. There's a reason for this pattern. And because it's not a coincidence, therefore it has to be one person doing it. So, Johann, if he is the one that did the candy, if, because we have no evidence, just suspicion, is already showing that he's exceptionally smart because it's an intellectual crime. To know that what was put on the candies would be poisonous enough to kill shows that you would have to be somewhat of a genius in your own right. Okay? Very intelligent. He likely will know that this pattern at some point is going to get picked up. So, what will be interesting is to see if he's going to deviate from the pattern, if he's going to change it up, because he knows that it's gaining press attention and notoriety, and he's going to throw the police off by changing how he kills or changing who he kills or both. So then they don't initially link them together. Because if you have somebody that is routinely killing rich middle-aged people with no children, and then all of a sudden there's a pattern of young teenage boys being killed, for example, you're not going to link them because they're seen as being too different. They're going to not match. So you're going to be looking at the young boys having been killed as maybe a different killer entirely until something in that killing lines up pattern wise with the previous killings. So that's what I'm fascinated to see, is if there's going to be a deviation, if there's going to be a change to kind of throw it off. I feel like I'm too interested in this show because I just love true crime and thriller and psychological dilemmas. So I am definitely going to be in for a wild ride with this. But the police are not dropping this investigation against Tenma. And you know what? I can't even fault them because it is odd. You know, they never found a person because they're not going to suspect a child. And I think that's their undoing, is that it was actually the child. Tenma has gained notoriety, respect, and prominent position with their deaths. Yes, he was drunk, but he was also alone. So it's still seen as being odd. The fact that he knew instantly what poison it was. And they're like, oh yeah, but that's because he's a doctor. But it's also a red flag to the detectives. Like, how did you know instantly what that was if you weren't involved in it? And these people were rooting for your downfall. You only stood to gain with them being gone. And Eva just annoyed me. The fact that her father has died. She's lived this life of luxury. She's constantly talked about how she just wants to be a kept woman. And the minute her father is gone, she tries to latch back onto Tenma. Now that he's the chief of surgery, she's seeing, oh, well, he's in a prominent position again. He's not being punished. He's more affluent than he was when I was engaged to him, so I can just worm my way back in. And I'm hoping there's further development to her because as it stands right now, she's a gold digger and she annoys me. I don't like people who manipulate others for their own gain or are only looking at people as a way to get ahead, to use them for their own gain and to have a cushy life where they don't have to work or do anything. It just annoys me. It's like, no, get a grip. So the fact that, yeah, I felt for her because her father has died and I wanted Tenma to comfort her. But then seeing that she suddenly pops back up and she's like, we can start over. No, no, you can't. Fuck off. That is when I got pissed off, when I was like, you don't deserve Tenma. You don't. She could have a change of heart. Maybe this is the beginning of a reevaluation of how she's lived her life up till now, especially with Tenma rejecting her, that she starts to realize she has to be better. She has to give her life for something. And maybe I'll start to like her, but as it stands, nah, Eva sucks. She can get in the bin. But yeah, this is definitely exciting that Locksmith has seen something, has been chased, and got hit by a car in the process because he was petrified. And the monster is coming, but who is the monster? It's Johan, because it's just coincidental that somebody has done this for Tenma, and it just so happens to be Johan that benefited from Tenma ruining his career. Johan survived, got to continue to live his life, and wants to show his gratitude and appreciation to Tenma by taking out the obstacles to Tenma's career progression. It's his sadistic thank you to the doctor that saved his life. It's just so fucked, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!